What's going on, Internet? Iron Jordan here. So today we're going to be looking at a green deck list for the Digimon card game. Now we just had English release yesterday. Today is Saturday the 28th. We just had English release yesterday. The pre-sale event, and ours was kind of insane. Our local game store is open. We're in the North Carolina area, and I'm actually going to get to them here in a second. But our local game store is open with a bunch of precautions, and they're doing a pretty good job of keeping everybody relatively safe while they open product and actually get to play some games and stuff like that. So let's go ahead and talk about that local game store. If you're in the Charlotte, North Carolina area, you can come on down to Gamers Alley. They don't sponsor me. This is just my local game store. I've been playing there for a decade almost. Been buying. They have video games. They have card games. They have Warhammer. All these tabletop different things. They have comic books. They have collectibles. They are a mom and pop local game store, and they have been around for a long time. They have incredible customer service. Their prices are always really good, whether that be signals for card games. They always sell at MSRP or even lower on sealed products. They are currently out of not DBS products. Sorry, they are currently out of Digimon products because there was such a mad dash yesterday for all the things. We had people coming from Virginia to buy stuff. We had people from California ordering product, and we're on the East Coast, so that's kind of crazy. But if you guys have a need for video games, card game, they do singles for Pokemon Magic and Yu-Gi-Oh. They might do Digimon singles in the future. They're currently not doing Dragon Ball singles. However, if you need sealed product for any of these games, they ship to anywhere in the lower 48 states. So if you're in the U.S. and you want any of those products, or if you need anything, if you need video games or comic books or anything, you can check them out. Now, enough of that plug. Let's get to the deck list. Now, green is in a very interesting spot in set 1.0 because a lot of people will tell you that green is bad. I do not think that is the case, though. I think that overwhelmingly, blue and red are probably the most powerful colors in the set. I think they can do the most with what they got. I think that purple got the most amount of its tools, and so it's the toolbotsy version. I think that black, yellow, and green were kind of stunted on what they got. However, everybody says that green is going to be very good in set 1.5. It gets a whole bunch of like really cheaty ramp stuff, almost similar to some other games that just let you play stuff for free or let you digiball for free or whatever. But right now we are working with a handful of archetypes of green that could potentially work. One of those is the Rust Tyrannomon archetype, which I thought would probably be pretty good in set 1.0, but after testing with it a little bit, it doesn't feel quite like it's there yet. But maybe in set 2, in 1.5, it'll be good. However, we're going to be looking at today a Rosemon list. Now, Rosemon, the deck itself is going to revolve around getting out this Rosemon, this Sitch Drop here, who Bandai, I don't, I appreciate what you're doing with this card, but like, man, she has no spine. Guys, she has no spine. They tried their hardest with this card. This and Lilithmon will bring so many people into the game. We have Yu-Gi-Oh players already at our locals are like, yo, Digimon though, I might have to play me some Lilithmon. But the whole idea of the deck is to turbo out this Rosemon and to just control your opponent's board. So we're calling this Rosemon Control, right? So we're going to go ahead and start with the Digitama. Now, I do not like playing 5 Digitama. That is just a strictly, that is personal preference. I really don't like Digitama at 5 at all because I don't like shuffling the Digitama deck, and that's really the only reason. It also throws off your consistency. So if you really have one Digitama that you favor, then it's very hard to justify playing a fifth one, especially if you're playing a deck that doesn't go that long. However, we're playing 5 in this deck because we are playing the Green Tamer Mimi, and we'll get to what she does here in a second. But we've got 4 Tanamon and 1 Frymon. Tanamon actually has turned out to be really good in a lot of games. He pushes you over the curve a lot when it comes to DP whenever you're attacking into your opponent's things. Frymon can be good, but he's mostly only good whenever you flower cannon your opponent off of your security. That's when he's good, and then it's going into your turn and stuff like that, right? So for rookies, we're running 16, which is actually less than I want to run, but to keep the deck being consistent on the higher end of levels, you can't run any more than this. I would like to run 18 like I do in my purple deck, but this works just fine. I don't ever really get starved for rookies. We got 2 Goblinmon just because he's vanilla level 2. or a vanilla 2 cost, so we can use him to starve our opponent. If we're sitting on 1 energy, or if we're sitting on 0 energy and we need to, or memory, I'm sorry guys, and we really need to starve the opponent out, then we can do that. We've got 4 Tentamon, who is pretty solid. Obviously, he works really well if you can stack him onto the Lilymon and then the Rosemon, so you can get a bunch of different tap down effects, which is really nice. Palamon is a consistency searcher. So you play her, she reveals top 3, and you can put a level 4 in your hand. She is the best one to hardcast. She's really the only one outside of Goblinmon that we want to hardcast. And then you've got this Agumon, which just gives you 1000 DP on your turn, which is very similar to one of the red Agumon. So he's very good to Digivolve onto as well. He can also put you over that curve of attacking into your opponent's things to kill them, because we don't have a lot of hard removal in this deck. We typically have to attack into our opponent's Digimon to kill them. So if your opponent establishes an Omnimon, it's almost game over against green, but we do have some ways to stop them of doing that, right? On to level 4s, we only have 12. I would like to play 14, but again, there's just not that much space if you want your deck to be consistent. We're rocking 4 Totemon. Totemon is probably the MVP of the level 4 slot. He evolves for 2, and when he's Digivolving, you reveal the top 3 cards, and you can get a Tamer and a level 5 or higher Digimon. So you can grab your Rosemon, Hercules Kabuterimon, Mega Kabuterimon, Lilymon, and your Mimis. So if you're still missing your Mimis, you can grab those. Tyrannomon does essentially the same thing. He reveals the top 3, and he gets a level 5 and a Tamer. I'm sorry, I mixed this up. Totemon only gets a level 5 or higher. Tyrannomon gets a level 5, only a level 5, not higher, and a green Tamer. So Tyrannomon can get Mimi and a level 5. Totemon only gets a level 5 or higher. So it keeps your Rosemons from going to the bottom of the deck, which is what you want. Then we have 4 Woodmon. This is simply for being able to stall out. Every deck in the format right now basically plays 4 of blockers, except for Ricky Rush and Megazu. So yeah, Woodmon seems pretty okay. I really hope that we get to the point in the meta where you don't have to run blockers if you don't want to. I'm actually working on a yellow deck right now that is a tempo yellow deck, and it's currently undefeated in testing and in-person testing. It's been really good, and I'm not running any blockers in that, but I'm there are certain decks that probably aren't going to play blockers, but most decks have to stall out, right? And on top of that, like having 6K body that can stop like little things is very good. Going on to the 5s, we have 4 Mega Kabuterimon and 4 Lilymon. Mega Kabuterimon, he's just a 2 cost 6K. If your opponent has 2 or more suspended Digimon, gain 1 memory when attacking as an inheritable. And then Lilymon's inheritable is when attacking, suspend one of your opponent's Digimon without blocker. So I really wish she just suspended anything. I really, really wish she just suspended anything. But it's still a pretty good effect. I mean, I've used this to board clear every once in a while, which is pretty okay. Uh, and then you have Rosemon. Rosemon is the cream of the deck. Now, you do have to be careful when you play this card, because it is only an 11k, so it does die to bigger things. Like, this card straight up dies to level 6 vanillas, which is very unfortunate, and that is the one thing you really have to look out for. Maybe have a blocker up for Rosemon or whatever if your opponent is, if you think your opponent is going to play. Like, if you're playing against Omnimon, that's what this deck struggles against, because they are going into vanillas to turbo into Omnimon, right? And so they will play the vanilla, they'll swing into your Rosemon, and they'll play the Omnimon, and they'll just clear your board, and it's insane. However, if you're playing against Ricky Rush, if you're playing against Megazu, if you're playing against like any of these things that like just want to attack, face, they just want to beat face, Rosemon is incredibly good because she will tap down any of your opponent's Digimon. Is your opponent keeping up a blocker? All right, cool, tap it down, stuff like that. And then we have Hercules Kabuterimon, who simply exists just to be a problem solver. Um, he he works really well with Lilymon. So if your opponent does have 1 Digimon tapped and you do have the additional energy to spare on Hercules Kabuterimon, the additional memory, I'm sorry. Again, DBS player, so I'm going to say memory, especially, or I'm going to say energy, especially when we're talking about another Bandai property. But if you have Lilymon underneath this Hercules Kabuterimon and you swing into one of your opponent's Digimon, he has Piercing. You can pay 3 after the attack, which is really nice. I really love that it's after the attack, and unlike the blue, there's a blue rare I think it's like Cerberusmon or whatever it is, where you have to pitch three when you attack, three discard three cards from your hand when you attack. But this is pay three memory after you're done attacking, so you actually get to know if the attack goes through or all that other stuff, right? So he is piercing, and when he survives a battle against another Digimon, you can pay three memory to restand him. That is quite a lot, so you typically won't get that, but it works really well with the Lilymon because you can tap down all the little things and make sure that he survives. So especially if you're coming off of your opponent playing a big thing last turn, if they played a Piedmon or whatever, this thing just eats Piedmon for breakfast. So if your opponent plays a Piedmon and you end up getting a Hercules Capiteriumon out, it's GG in most cases, right? So this is very good against purple. Then you have Mimi. Mimi is essential. All tamers are essential, but Mimi more so in this deck is very essential. She really accelerates the tempo of this deck a lot because it would be very slow getting out one guy a turn and then like having to hatch and then wait and then slide it up and stuff like that on the next turn. But Mimi really accelerates the ability to extend your plays and have a little bit more of a tempo and get to Rosemon a little faster, right? So if you have a level 5 Digimon on board, you can tap her to either hatch an egg or to raise a level 3 from your raising area into the battle area. So she is actually incredibly good. When I was first testing the card, I was like, oh, this seems okay. But then after playing, I mean, I probably played a dozen games with this deck yesterday over the course. I was at my LGS for like 11 hours, guys. It was release day. I was excited. But I played probably a dozen or more games with this deck yesterday, and Mimi was by far and away the MVP along with Rosemon. If Rosemon gets established, like Mimi helps you get to your level 6s faster than most decks do. Um, and it's just, I mean, it just feels really good. It's insane. So yeah, there's that. And then we are topping off the deck with 4 Flower Cannon. It's just the best option card in green right now, probably one of the better option cards in the game. I've heard a couple YouTubers say, and a couple people in the community say they don't like this card, but this card can tap down a blocker if your opponent's leaning on a blocker to like just, solidify and stabilize and, get to their next turn. This card just goes, nah, man, 2 energy. And if you have a Mimi out, it's free because you still get actions afterwards. You're not paying 2 energy to tap something down and then go to your opponent's turn. This card is just so good in conjunction with like, hey, I have a pretty decent sized board. I have lethal on board, or they have just one enough blocker to keep them from dying. Flower Cannon just wins you the game in that predicament. Now, there are a couple things that I would say that you could probably add to this deck, and I'll go ahead and point them out right now. The couple things that I think you could potentially add to this deck are there's a level 4 and there's a level 6. So the level fours that I would potentially add is the Coagumon. So he is an on play for 4,000 level 4 that says suspend one of your opponent's Digimon. This is okay. It's obviously worse than Flower Cannon because it's 4 energy, 4 memory to tap something down, but you get a Digimon body with it, so it's not the worst thing in the world. However, in my testing, this card did not seem very good at all, so I ended up cutting it. Vegemon and Caputeriumon are both options at the level 4 slot that I would probably play over Woodmon if I felt like I didn't have to play a blocker, and so we might actually experiment with that a little bit. But I was playing 4 Caputeriumon for a little bit, and it always felt really good to evolve for 1, which is really, really nice. So it helps you get to those level 5s a lot faster, which is really, really good. And on top of that, you can really starve your opponent on turn 1 if you're going first with this card, or with Vegemon. Vegemon just simply is vanilla that has 1k more, but Caputeriumon has a pretty good inheritable. So yeah. And then the final card that I would maybe consider adding in replacement of Hercules Caputeriumon is Puppetmon. Puppetmon just kind of goes, I win the game. If your opponent has a wide board and they're tapped out, you can, and even if they have one card untapped, you just go, okay, cool, here's my Puppetmon, tap that one guy that's untapped down, and now none of your guys untapped. And I have had this card played against me, and I've played it, and it just wins games when it's good. So I would maybe play like 1 or 2 of this, maybe. I just think this card's good. So I'm actually going to probably slot this in over a Hercules Caputeriumon and play like a 1-1. Because Hercules Caputeriumon's very situational, and so is Puppetmon. So yeah, those are the cards I would definitely consider playing, but this is what I'm playing at the time being. I'm going to be going to my LGS probably a little bit later to play test some more. Testing in person is definitely way better than testing online. Octagon and Untap, and I can't remember what the other one is, but it's the most popular one for Digimon. Can't remember, but some program on Steam. Tabletop Sim, there you go. All those are like good to get like a basis of like learning how to play the game, and like using the app obviously is a good way to learn how to play the game, but playing in person just offers a better testing experience. So if you can test safely, do it. Like our LGS mandatory mass, everybody's sitting pretty far apart, except for the person in front of you. Obviously there's hand sanitizer at like every station. They're doing a pretty good job of keeping people safe. So if you can, obviously the safest testing that you can do is in your own home, like one-on-one with a buddy, like have a buddy come over that trust, isn't sick and stuff like that. You may order some pizza or whatever, get some drinks, and just have a good time of testing. And that's what I would definitely recommend you do as we go into set 1.0, is just don't listen to all these other channels. Obviously I understand the irony of me saying don't listen to YouTube channels and stuff, but play test things for yourself. Listen to ideas. Like, obviously if you think that green is going to be a color that you want to play, then look at this deck list and go, okay, this might be a good place to start. But obviously do your own testing, because what works for me might not work for you. We might have different play styles and all these other things. And so that's why I always say, especially now that 1.0 is in, you might have people say, oh well, this card wasn't good in Japan, so like it's not going to be good here, but their meta is different. So take that as, do your own research. As with all things, do your own research. But I'm going to stop rambling. I hope that you guys enjoyed the video. I'm going to be testing this deck a lot today, and I will be updating all of the decks that I make as we go. I'm already pretty excited about trying to get some cards together for 1.5. That way I can play, like, I'm going to play all force, guys. Like, I just want to play blue. I want to play all force. But I hope you guys enjoyed it. Leave me a like if you did. Subscribe for more videos. I will be doing more Digimon content for sure, as well as some DPS content for you DPS guys. And let me know what you guys think about the video. I will be interacting with people in the comments if we get some. But I'll see you guys in the next one.